I have found the best side hustle for 2023. I've been using it for over 6 months now. I've made over $6,000. Now, before we get into it, before you click off this video, because we're talking about side hustles, I'm sure you've heard tons of varying opinions on it. Let's talk about what makes a side hustle great. Why would this side hustle be the best? So side hustles are, in general, what they're supposed to be is a side hustle, something where you have your full-time regular income, and this is a little cherry on top or a big cherry on top that supplements your current income. And so that is the essence of it. It's something on the side. And so inherently that must mean that it is relatively easy to do, time sensitive, right? And something that is not going to take up too much of your time, right? A couple hours a day at the most, right? And something that is scalable, something that you can compound and continue to build out would be ideal, right? And so let's talk quickly about other side hustles out there, right? And so, I mean, you could start a business, and this is one that is great for scaling and compounding because you start something that you own, right? You own this, and however much effort you're putting in means the more that you're getting from your business. And I mean, that's great because if you are putting effort into something that you own, the bigger it gets, the better for you, as opposed to a side hustle where you're trading your hours for, you know, a pay hourly, right? Because there's no way to scale that. There's no increase, maybe a raise here and there, but it is kind of fixed in its ability to grow, right? And so that's why, and then a business also, the issue with that one is the time spent, right? I mean, if you actually want this business to grow, this might end up being a 4 or 5 hour thing that you're doing. And so plus your actual job, you know, your day job, that ends up being a lot of work per day. So, you know, it's not a bad idea. It's definitely shooting for the upside, which I love to do. And so I can't fault it. So that's one. Again, the issue is with the time and the effort, and also you have to be pretty skilled. You kind of do have to know what you're doing. So in general, we want to find a side hustle that is easy to do, right? You don't need to be a specialized expert at it. It doesn't take a whole lot of time, and you can scale it, right? So let's talk about the best side hustle of 2023. Sports betting. I know a lot of you just rolled your eyes, but let's talk about a specific form of sports betting. We're not talking about just randomly gambling on your favorite team or paying for some other person's picks on Twitter and tailing those and thinking that you're going to be successful just because this guy is special for some reason. We are talking about plus EV sports betting, plus expected value. This is a form of sports betting where you are relying on mathematical odds and data to provide you with profitable bets in the long run. This form of betting does not rely on stats and, you know, injuries and looking at matchups and all of this stuff, because with plus EV betting, we assume that all that information is so widely accessible that it's all baked into the odds already. Meaning, if there's an injury, if the weather is bad, if, you know, a coach just got fired, or whatever it may be that makes you think, oh, I'm going to bet on this team, that knowledge is already understood by everyone in the industry and the odds makers. And so it's already baked into the lines. The odds and the lines that are set, they know all this stuff already. Plus EV betting is where it doesn't even matter what bet you're taking, what sport it is. It's strictly based off of the odds across all the sports books in the world. And what you're doing with plus EV betting is you are trying to find a bet on a random sports book that is giving you more value. It's giving you better odds than you should be getting. Now let's actually dive into it and see how this works. So just to show you that it has been working for me, my first full month, I made over $2,000, and now over time I have made over $6,000 in total, and I've wagered over $100,000. So I've wagered $100,000. I've basically made a 6% profit margin on that. So just to show you that, I have been using this technique and I have made this amount of money. Okay. And so with plus EV betting, obviously you need a software, you need some tools to help you find these bets, right? And so the best tool, by far the best platform, is OddsJam, right? And OddsJam is a platform that will find you these plus EV bets because they have access to all of the odds on all of the lines across all of the sports books in the world, right? They have an incredible database that provides you with real-time data, real-time odds, and can find you these profitable bets. So let's go to the OddsJam plus EV, positive EV tool here. And let's look at what this means, right? So from afar, how it works and how it's been working for me and why this is such an incredible side hustle is because I literally just log on to this site every day. I find my bets. It says, okay, take Josh Lowe over 1.5 hits for these odds on this sports book. I go, I place the bet, I track it, I save it, and I move on to the next one. And so every hour I come in here, spend 2 or 3 minutes, place the bets, and move on. So check. The time part is easy. Obviously, you have to be on here. The more that you're on here, the more bets you can find, the more volume you have, and then the more money you'll make. But in general, it's super easy, so you don't need another check. You don't need to be a professional or some specialized person to do this. It's easy, right? And the time spent is relatively small as well. It's a few minutes every hour. So those two are checked off, which is fantastic. And then the scalable part, the scalability behind this is that you can increase your bet size, right? You can take your winnings, compound them, and continue to bet them and increase your bet size over time as your bankroll grows. And so that means that you can continue to make more and more money off of the money that you've won. But all of this said, technically you could say, well, you could just do this with random sports betting, right? It's easy, it's quick, you don't need specialized, and you can scale it. So yes, that's absolutely true. You can do that with random, just normal sports betting. But let's talk about what makes plus EV betting mathematical and profitable in the long run. So let's continue looking at this Josh Lowe bet here, okay? Now, as you can see, there are tons of sports books that I have access to. I'm in Canada, so these may look different for you if you're in the United States or another country. But again, OddsJam will show you what sports books you have access to, and they will show you all of them and all of their odds on the specific bet. And so let's talk about what is so important about odds and why it's so important to get as much value as you can on the odds, okay? So why this is a plus EV bet is because we are getting plus 200, so 2-to-1 odds. You bet $100, you win 200 in profit on a few different sports books here, right? You see these ones here that are plus 200. There's this one here that's plus 198, but nothing else is even close. All of the other bets are around plus 170, 165, 166. They're all way lower than how high these are here at plus 200. So if you're going to be placing a bet, you obviously want to get paid out as much as you can. Because if you are always taking the best odds and you're getting paid out more every single time than what you should be getting paid out, you're going to be making more money. But it doesn't just stop at that. That's technically called line shopping, which you can do perfectly well with OddsJam, and it's by far the best line shopping tool out there. But it's not just finding the best odds, because you could find a random bet and find the best odds, line shop for it and get your odds. What plus EV betting is it uses no vig odds. Now, this is a term that is basically fair odds. And so this is what the sportsbook think the true probability of outcome is, okay? And so what we do is we take the no vig odds, which is the true probability. So what the actual odds are for something to hit. And if we are getting offered odds on a sports book that is better than this, so this is 189, we are getting paid out 11 cents higher than this, right? 189, and this is 200. so 11 higher, we are getting better than what the true odds are. So if we were to take this bet over and over and over again, over 1,000 different bets where we're getting this value, we're getting more than we should be getting paid out. Since these are the actual true odds of something happening, we're going to be profitable because we're getting paid out more than we should be. If we were getting paid out at plus 189.57, we would be completely even over a long period of time, a big sample size, right? Obviously, there's variance up and down, but in general, this is what plus EV betting is. It's calculating and finding the no vig odds, which OddsJam just tells you right here. It's easy. I'll tell you how to calculate in a second, but they show you it right here. You take bets that give you better odds than these, right? And if we look down through here, this next bet here, the A's and J's, under 7.5, they're telling us to take it plus 180 on Fliff. Why? Well, because the no vig odds are plus 171. We get plus 180, meaning we get basically 9 cents per dollar higher than we should be getting on a payout. So if we were to take this bet over and over and over and over and over again, we would be hitting at the odds at plus 171, but we're actually getting paid out at these odds, which is more. So we have a 3%, 3.06% plus EV, positive expected value. We're getting more value than the expected value is. So this is, I mean, it stops there for actually using this because you sign up for OddsJam, you get access to the plus EV tool, you come in here, you take the bets that are highlighted like this, tells you what bet, what the odds are, on what sportsbook, and it also tells you how much money to put on it. This is you can set up, what your bankroll is, what your risk tolerance is, and it will tell you how much money to put on it. You enter it in and you're done. But let's actually get a little bit more deep. Let's talk about what the no vig odds are, or the fair odds are, why you need to calculate this, how you calculate this, and then we should be good to go. So no vig odds is basically removing the tax, or the vig, that's what we call tax, that the sports books will place on the odds that they're offering. Okay, sports books add a little bit of tax on each side because they need to ensure that they are making money on both sides of the bet, right? They're not in the business of hoping that one side hits because they'll make more money. I mean, in general, that can happen, but for the most part, they are making money regardless what happens because they're taking the tax or the juice or the vig on it. Okay, so they set their lines, and this means that since they're adding this tax or this vig, it's not actually accurate to the true probability of something happening. For instance, if two teams are playing each other and they are 100% even, right? They should be 50. It's a 50-50 chance for them to win or lose, right? They're totally even. That means their odds should be even as well. So the odds should be 100, right? Plus 100. So if we do that, 100 odds on both sides, that means that it's a 50% chance for them to win, right? And so the no vig odds, 50%, and the no vig odds are 100. However, what sportsbooks will do is they will put a tax on where it's minus 110 on both sides, because they are basically taking a 10-cent tax on either side, and so they are profiting that difference. And as you can see with this calculator on OddsJam, if it's minus 110 on both sides, which it is very common, the no vig is 50% chance to hit, and the no vig odds are plus 100. That can be the same thing for minus 115 on both sides, which again, sportsbooks will do it. They'll even take more tax, and it's the same thing. So what we want to do is we want to remove this tax, and this calculator does it for you. 115 on both sides. That tells you, after the calculator goes, that the no vig percentage for it to hit is 50%, and the odds are plus 100. So what we can do on this is, let's say we have a line that's set at minus 180 on one side and then plus 130 on the other. That means that the no vig odds, or the fair odds, if they weren't actually putting this tax on things, would be minus 147 up here, because it has a 59.65% chance to hit. And this one down here, 40.35. and the odds would be plus 147.86. And as you can tell, I'm sure, these two on both sides with the no vig, the fair odds, they are an inverse of each other because there's no tax, right? You bet on one side, you bet on the other side, the payouts will be the same. It's going to be a wash when there's no tax, but sportsbooks put a tax on it. So that's why it's super, super, super important to calculate the no vig, the fair odds, so you understand what the actual percent of something to hit is. And as you can see, this percentage is a direct reflection of the odds. So, having said all this, you don't need to do this calculation. You simply go to the OddsJam plus EV tool. It gives you the bet. It tells you, it already calculates what the no vig odds are, basically from these odds here, right, with the tax already in there. They remove the tax and then compare the best line that you can get with those odds, and that's what creates this number, the plus EV percentage. And then it simply just ranks them by percentage, right? Highest to lowest. And so you come in here, you take your bets that it's telling you to take, and you're on your way. And you do this consistently every single day, regardless of what the bet is. Obviously, there's a few, tips and tricks that we can get into in another video, but that is what plus EV betting is. And that's why I've been so successful, because we're getting more value than we should. It's strictly math based on percentages and odds. It's no longer looking at, oh, well, Josh Lowe is great against right-handed pitchers. Sure, you can be profitable making those bets, but making these bets, that's where you ensure profitability. You can scale it. You can bet it. Rest assured that you're not making these decisions. Math is making these decisions. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video and maybe learned something. If you are interested in trying out plus EV betting, you can use the link down below to get access to OddsJam. That link will give you a 7-day free trial and a 90-day money-back guarantee. So you can try this side hustle for 90 days. And if you lose money, if you win money, if you don't like it, whatever it is, if you don't want to pay for the platform anymore, you can get your money back completely free, no problem, and no sweat off your back. So that's great. It's kind of like you don't need to worry about, okay, well, I also have to pay for this, for this platform, and that's going to eat at my profits. So if you basically have a 3-month period where you can decide if it's worth it for you, which is great. So use that link down below to get that access. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more tips and tricks and tutorials on OddsJam and the plus EV and everything else that they offer, because it's not just plus EV. Trust me, there are a hell of a lot of tools on here that can make you a more profitable bettor and give you that perfect side hustle that can supplement your current income. So hopefully you guys liked it, and we will see you next time.